Well, this is the first guitar I ever made that has a serial number. I wrote with a pencil in there #1. And I got this wood that the back and sides are made out of. My old friend and mentor and musician partner and everything, Albert Hash, gave me an old mahogany door and to make this guitar out of. And even though it was a Luan mahogany, you know, it's not real good quality wood, but it works. And these inlay I cut out with a pocket knife, each little block, because I thought it needed to look like a Martin, you know, because I've been fascinated with Martin guitars since I was the first one I ever saw. And E.C. Ball was a neighbor and another mentor of mine, a great thumb-style guitar player. And he had an old Martin that I looked at and copied from some, and got this guitar so it works. And this bridge was made out of a piece of Brazilian rosewood that came from the Brunswick Company, which they used to make the beds of pool tables out of solid rosewood. And that was some scraps that Albert Hash had given me. And these bridge pins I picked up where we had one of our favorite old milk cows had passed away up on top of the hill. And after the buzzards got through with her, there was lots of bones laying up there for several years, and I'd go pick those bones up and make these things and the saddles. I figured that I wanted something dark and light around here, and so I just took my whittling knife. I don't know how in the world long it took me to cut out all those little blocks, but there's a little block of walnut and a block of maple, and that was the only dark wood I could find around here naturally. You know, I'd never seen a piece of ebony or anything, and this little piece of rosewood was the only one I had, you know, to make a bridge out of. And I remember we ordered some pickguard material and maybe a fingerboard and stuff from some company. Albert Hash, I think, ordered it for me. Albert gave me a catalog, and I ordered a piece of spruce, and I took it to the wood shop. You know, we had our agriculture department at my high school had a woodworking shop that us kids almost never used. They didn't teach us anything in there, but the farmers all used it to build their truck beds and racks and things. And it had a joiner in there, and I remember taking this piece of wood over there to run through the joiner to put this joint in the top. And later on, when I graduated from high school, I didn't have access to that tool, and I would take big hand planes and lay it on my knees and slide the wood across it to get the joint in the top, you know. And these necks, this one's got a pretty good sized neck on it, but it was made out of a 4x4 that I sawed out, and made most all this is done with a pocket knife. All the shaping of the heel and this carving here, and
that's like the Martin.
Yeah, that's it. I was influenced by them, you know, because that's the good guitars that I saw.
Now that is mahogany, right?
Yeah, it's mahogany. I ordered it from a company in Chicago called Craftsman Wood Service Company, and I don't know whether they're still in business or not. But
the tuners?
The tuners, we ordered. I think these have been replaced over time, but the ones I put on originally were like that.
Because of the.
Well, actually, I had a strap hooked right there when I used to play this guitar. Mm-hmm. I played this guitar for a while because it was better than anything I had at the time. And I had a strap screwed in. Mr. Ball always put his strap up there. Well, Mr. Ball was a fairly famous folk singer and player, and nowadays he wrote some great songs, especially in the gospel line. He wrote, you know, Trials, Troubles, Tribulations that Peter Rowan has recorded, and Tim O'Brien recorded one of his songs. Laurie Lewis, and you know, people we've just been seeing at Merle Fest, you know, pretty famous musicians, have recorded several of his tunes that he wrote. And he was a neighborhood fella, musician that lived right here in this community. And right out at the end of this road, you can see it if you walk out in the road. There's a little country store, and he ran that store. And I would go out there, and that's where I got to go look at his Martin. And he would. You know, he's real particular with that guitar, and he would put me on a nail keg out in the middle of the floor where I couldn't bang it into anything, and he would let me play it sometimes. And he also let me draw around the outside of it to get a pattern, and you know, look at the neck and that kind of thing. and it was a big influence on me, my first guitars that I made, and he would we'd play together some, and I learned playing styles from him. He's one reason I play with finger picks, because he told me that's the way you're supposed to do it, And
Loudon, you want to ask him some questions? I'll make you a copy of this, and you can.
Yeah. What was his first name?
Estel.
Estel.
Yeah, Estel Ball. And I actually have a small picture of him right in there on it, which I keep meaning to get blown up into a big one like I have of Albert. And everybody, but I just haven't never gotten into getting it done yet.
Can you tell me what the name of your first musical group was that you played with?
Yeah, that group you saw in there, the picture on the mantle, was called the Virginia Carolina Boys. And, two of us lived in Virginia and two in North Carolina. And we called it the Virginia Carolina Boys, which is actually a pretty good name. I probably don't ever use it anymore, And especially most bands around here are like that, have part from both states.
Because Herb,
Yeah. But you never, know. And sometimes I used a name that my dad, and my father was a fiddle player, and he played with E.C. Ball, Slim Ball, or Estel Ball, quite a bit. And they had a band back probably in the 30s and 40s along there. They called the Rugby Gully Jumpers. And you're right in rugby right here in that community.
And stoplights.
No, we don't have any stop signs. We've got one. The sign is, both of them's on the same post right out here, and one of them's been shot on one side with a shotgun, so you can't tell what it says. But that needs to be fixed. And so we, not a very big place. You can drive out to the end of the road, you'll be in downtown Rugby. I'm all the time talking about Rugby, being only 7 people, and you can see it. I speak the truth, when.
How long did it take you to make number 2 then, and how long after this one was it before you started making number 2?
I took this guitar when I got it done to Mr. Hash, to Albert, and he really bragged on it. Albert was a super fine person. He was encouraging to young folks, and he taught lots of people to play the fiddle, and he was an influence on many, many people, and one of my biggest influences. And I couldn't wait to take this guitar to show it to Albert when I got it done, and he was surprised when I got there with it, knowing he knew what I had to work with, which was nothing, to as far as tools and that kind of thing. And he said, if I'd have known you could have made that good a guitar, I'd have got you some better wood.
Good wood.
And yeah, and so he, right offhand, that's when he gave me some more catalogs and ordered me a set of rosewood, and I made the second one out of rosewood, and it was a nicer guitar, and I was able to. I sold it for $40 and a hard shell case to put this guitar, to carry this guitar around in, and then I found out that was a pretty big deal, that I got $40 for it. That was a little something,
What year was this?
That would have been probably in 1966, somewhere. My grandfather, tell me about the one that played banjo. Actually, I don't know if you noticed that there's a picture of him with his banjo in there on the wall.